The transport ship landed slowly on the alien world, looked through the small window and saw a planet unlike anything he had ever seen before. The sky was purple, the trees were silver, everything looked like a dream. He was just a soldier, a guard, nothing special. The military had chosen him for this mission because he was calm and followed orders well. They needed someone to protect the human ambassador during talks with the Empire. Did not ask questions. He simply packed his bag and got on the ship. Now he was here, on a world far from Earth, far from everything he knew. The other soldiers on the ship were talking quietly. They were nervous, they were powerful. Their empire controlled hundreds of planets. Humans had only just started traveling through space. They were small compared to but they wanted peace. They wanted trade. They wanted to prove that humans could be trusted. Stood up and checked his uniform. It was clean and neat. His boots were polished. He carried no weapon. Weapons were not allowed in the palace. This was a sign of trust. The ship door opened. Warm air rushed inside. It smelled sweet like flowers after rain. Stepped out first. His job was to walk ahead of the ambassador and check for danger. There was no danger, only beauty. The palace stood before them like a mountain made of crystal. It was white and blue and gold. Light passed through its walls and created rainbows on the ground. Had never seen anything so wonderful in his life. Guards waited for them at the entrance. They were tall, much taller than humans. Their skin was pale blue, almost like ice. Their eyes were large and dark, like deep pools of water. They had no hair. Instead, thin silver lines ran across their heads like rivers on a map. They looked at the other humans with curiosity. Perhaps they had never seen humans before, or perhaps they were just careful. One of the guards spoke. His voice was soft but clear. "Welcome to the Palace of Stars. Queen waits for you in the throne room. Please follow us." Walked behind the ambassador. The other human guards walked beside him. Their footsteps echoed in the long hallway. The floor was smooth like glass. The walls showed pictures of stars and planets and great battles from long ago. Kept his eyes forward. He did not want to seem rude, but he could not help looking at everything. This place was amazing. Finally, they reached two large doors. The doors were made of something that looked like liquid gold. They moved without being touched. They simply opened. The throne room was the most beautiful place had ever seen. It was huge. The ceiling was so high that clouds floated near the top, real clouds, inside a room. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. The floor showed the image of a galaxy slowly spinning under their feet. And there at the end of the room sat the queen. Queen was different from the other. Her skin was not just pale blue. It had a soft glow like moonlight trapped under water. Her eyes were silver, not dark. She wore a dress made of light itself. It moved around her like living fire. She was beautiful and she was powerful, could feel it. Everyone in the room could feel it. The ambassador stepped forward and began to bow. The other humans did the same, bowed his head but kept his eyes up. This was his training. A guard must always watch. And then something strange happened. Queen was speaking. Her voice was like music. She was welcoming the humans. She was talking about peace and friendship and the future. But then she stopped. She stopped right in the middle of a word. Her mouth stayed open. Her silver eyes went wide. She was looking at someone. She was looking at... He felt her gaze like a weight on his chest. He did not understand. Why was she looking at him? He was nobody, just a guard, just a soldier standing in the back. The whole room went silent. The advisors looked at each other. They did not know what was happening. The ambassador turned around, confused. Queen stood up from her throne. Her legs were shaking. Her hands were trembling. The glow around her skin flickered like a candle in the wind. She took one step forward, then another. Her eyes never left his face. "It cannot be," she whispered. Her voice was so soft that almost no one heard it, but heard it. He heard every word. "It cannot be," she said again. "You look like him, you look exactly like him." Did not know what to say. He did not know what she meant. He stood very still like a statue. One of the advisors rushed to the queen's side. He was an old with many silver lines on his head. "My queen, are you well? Should we stop the ceremony?" Queen did not answer him. She kept walking toward. The other humans stepped aside. They were scared. They did not know what was happening. She stopped right in front of him. She was taller than him. She looked down into his eyes. Her silver eyes were full of tears. "Your face," she said. "Your eyes, the way you stand, even the way you breathe." She raised one hand slowly. She almost touched his cheek, but she stopped herself. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice broke like glass. Swallowed hard, his throat was dry. "My name is Your Majesty. I am a guard. I am here to protect the ambassador." Queen shook her head slowly. "No, you are more than that. You must be more than that." She took a deep breath. Her whole body was shaking now. "You look like someone I lost, someone I loved, someone who died a very long time ago." The room was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Did not understand. How could he look like someone she knew? He was just a human from Earth. She was an alien queen who had lived for centuries. But he saw the pain in her eyes. It was real. It was deep. It was the kind of pain that never goes away. "I am sorry, Your Majesty," he said quietly. "I do not know what you mean. I am just a simple soldier." Queen closed her eyes. A single silver tear ran down her cheek. "He said the same thing," she whispered. "He always said the same thing, that he was simple, that he was nobody, but he was everything to me." She turned away suddenly. She walked back to her throne with quick steps. Her advisors rushed after her. The ceremony was over before it even started. The ambassador looked at with shock and confusion. "What just happened?" he asked. Shook his head slowly. "I do not know, sir. I truly do not know." But as they were led out of the throne room, looked back one last time. Queen was sitting on her throne again. She was looking at him, and in her silver eyes he saw something that scared him more than any enemy ever could. He saw hope. That night Queen could not sleep. She lay in her bed made of soft light. The ceiling above her showed the stars of her empire, thousands of them, millions of them. She had watched over these stars for 800 years. She had seen wars begin and end. She had seen planets born and die. She had seen everything. But she had never forgotten him. One. She closed her eyes and let the memory come. It was an old memory, 300 years old, but it was as clear as yesterday. Back then she was not a queen. She was a princess, young and foolish and full of dreams. The empire was at war with the shadows. The shadows were creatures of darkness. They came from the empty spaces between stars. They wanted to destroy all life. The war was terrible. Billions died, planets burned, hope was dying. His father, the king, sent her away on a ship. He wanted her to be safe. He wanted her to survive even if everyone else died. "You will be queen one day," he told her. "You must live." Did not want to leave. She wanted to fight. But she was young and her father was the king. She had to obey. The ship carried her through dangerous space. They flew past broken planets and dead stars. The shadows were everywhere. They hunted anything that moved. On the 5th day, the shadows found them. They attacked without warning. Black ships came out of nowhere. They fired weapons that had never seen before. The ship was hit. It started to fall apart. Was going to die, she knew it. She accepted it. But then another ship appeared. It was small, much smaller than the shadow ships. It was shaped like a bird with spread wings, and it flew like nothing had ever seen. It moved so fast that it was almost invisible. The small ship attacked the shadows. It fired bright beams of light. It danced between the enemy weapons. It should have been destroyed in seconds, but it was not. One by one, the shadow ships exploded. When the battle was over, the small ship came close to his damaged vessel. A voice came through the communication system. "This is Captain one of the Earth Explorer Corps. Do you need help?" Earth had heard of Earth. It was a small planet far away. Humans lived there. They were young in the galaxy. They had only started traveling through space a few decades ago. They were weak compared to the great empires. But this human had just saved her life. One helped repair her ship. He stayed with her for 3 months while they slowly made their way to safe space. During those 3 months, learned many things about humans. She learned that they were kind. They shared their food even when they did not have much. She learned that they were brave. They faced danger without complaint. She learned that they were loyal. They never abandoned their friends. And she learned that one was special. He was not tall he was not strong like the warriors of the outer planets. He did not have powers or magic or ancient technology. He was just a man. But his heart was bigger than any star. He made her laugh. No one had ever made her laugh before. Royalty did not laugh. It was not proper. But one told her stories from Earth. Silly stories about animals and children and old men who did foolish things. She laughed until her stomach hurt. He listened to her. He really listened. When she talked about her fears and her dreams, he did not judge her. He did not give her advice. He simply heard her words and held her hand. He taught her that being strong did not mean being alone. Somewhere during those 3 months, fell in love. She did not plan it. She did not want it. A princess could not love a human. It was impossible. It was wrong. Her people would never accept it. But love does not care about rules. On the last night before they reached safe space, told him the truth. "I love you," she said. "I know it is foolish. I know nothing can come of it, but I wanted you to know." One looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were brown, like the earth of his home planet. They were warm and deep and full of light. "I love you too," he said. "I have loved you since the first moment I saw you." They held each other that night. They did not sleep. They just talked and laughed and cried. They knew their time together was ending. They knew the universe would pull them apart. But for one night they were together, and that was enough. When they reached safe space, ships came to take home. One said goodbye to her on the deck of her ship. "I will find you again," he said. "No matter how long it takes, no matter how far I have to go, I will find you." Touched his face one last time. "Promise me," she whispered. "I promise." But he did not find her. The war continued. The shadows grew stronger. His father was killed in battle. She became queen at a young age. She had to lead her people through the darkest time in their history. She tried to find one. She sent messages to Earth. She sent ships to search for him, but Earth was far away. Communication was difficult. The war made everything impossible. Finally, after 10 years, she received news. One was dead. He had been fighting the shadows near a small planet called Hope. The shadows had sent 100 ships. One had only 5, but he refused to run. There were children on that planet. Thousands of children. If he ran, they would die. So he stayed. He fought for 3 days. His ships were destroyed one by one. His crew died around him, but he kept fighting. He drew the shadows away from the planet. He gave the children time to escape. In the end, his ship was the only one left. The shadows surrounded him. They demanded his surrender. His last message was recorded and sent to Earth. "My name is One. I am a simple explorer from Earth. I am about to die. But I want everyone to know that I am not afraid. I have seen the beauty of the universe. I have loved and been loved. I have no regrets." He paused. His voice became soft. "If you ever hear this, please know that I kept my promise. I never stopped looking for you. I never stopped loving you, and I will find you again. Somehow, someday, in this life or the next." Then the message ended. One flew his ship directly into the Shadow command vessel. The explosion destroyed both ships. It created a light so bright that it could be seen from 3 star systems away. The children on Planet Hope were saved, 12,000 children, all because one human refused to run. When heard the news, she did not cry. She could not cry. She was a queen now. Queens do not cry. But something inside her died that day. A part of her heart turned to ice and never melted again. For 300 years she ruled the empire. She won the war against the shadows. She brought peace to hundreds of worlds. She was called the greatest queen in history. But she never forgot one. She never forgot his face, his eyes, his smile, the way he stood, the way he breathed. She remembered everything. And now, after 300 years, she had seen that face again. In the throne room, standing in the back, a simple guard named opened her eyes and stared at the stars above her bed. "You promised," she whispered to the darkness. "You promised you would find me. Is this your way of keeping that promise?" The stars did not answer. But in her heart, a small flame of hope began to burn, a flame she thought had died long ago. One had promised, and humans, she had learned, always kept their promises, even after death. 3 days passed after the strange meeting in the throne room. The diplomatic talks continued. The ambassador met with officials every day. They discussed trade. They discussed borders. They discussed the future of human and relations. But everyone noticed that something had changed. Queen had made an unusual request. She wanted the human guard named to serve as her personal protector during the negotiations. This was very strange. Queens always used guards. They never trusted outsiders. The ambassador was confused. The other humans were worried, but no one could refuse a queen. So became Queen's shadow. He stood behind her during meetings. He walked beside her through the palace halls. He waited outside her door while she slept. Wherever she went, he followed. At first it was uncomfortable. Did not understand why she had chosen him. He was not the strongest guard. He was not the most experienced. He was just average. But Queen watched him constantly. When she thought he was not looking, her silver eyes would find his face. She would stare at him like he was a puzzle she was trying to solve. It made nervous. On the 4th day, something changed. Queen invited him to walk with her in the palace gardens, just the two of them. No advisors, no other guards. The gardens were beautiful beyond words. Flowers that sang when touched, trees that changed color with every passing moment, a river that flowed upward into the sky. Had never seen such wonders. But Queen did not look at the garden. She looked at him. "Tell me about yourself," she said. Her voice was soft, almost shy. Did not know what to say. He was a guard. Guards did not talk about themselves with queens. "There is not much to tell, Your Majesty. I was born in a small town on Earth. My parents were farmers. I joined the military when I was young. I have been a soldier ever since." Nodded slowly. She seemed to be searching his words for something. "Do you have a family, a wife, children?" "No, Your Majesty. I have never married. My work has kept me moving from place to place. It is hard to build a life when you are always leaving." Something flickered in his eyes, a sadness, a recognition. "He said something like that once," she whispered. Felt strange hearing her words. He knew she was talking about the man from her past, the one he looked like, but he did not understand the connection. "Your Majesty, may I ask a question?" Looked surprised. "Yes, please." "Who do I look like? You said I look exactly like someone you lost. I would like to understand." Stopped walking. She stood very still for a long moment. The flowers around them sang their quiet songs. The colorful trees swayed in the gentle breeze. "His name was One," she finally said. "He was a human like you. He saved my life 300 years ago." 300 years. Could not imagine such a length of time. He would be dust long before 300 years passed. "What happened to him?" he asked gently. His face tightened with old pain. He died saving others. He was always saving others. She paused. He was the bravest man I ever knew, and I loved him more than I can say. Felt his heart ache for her. 300 years of carrying such a loss. 300 years of remembering. It was too much for anyone to bear. I am sorry, Your Majesty. I did not mean to bring you pain. Shook her head. You do not bring me pain, you bring me something else. She looked at him with those silver eyes full of mystery. When I see your face, I feel hope. I feel like maybe he is not completely gone. Did not know how to respond. What could he say to that? They continued walking in silence. The garden seemed to sense the queen's mood. The flowers sang softer. The trees glowed with gentle blue light. After a while, spoke again. Do you know anything about your ancestors, your family history? Thought about it. Not much, Your Majesty. My family were simple people, farmers and workers. We did not keep many records. Nodded. She seemed disappointed but not surprised. May I ask you to do something for me? Anything, Your Majesty. When you return to Earth, will you search? Will you look into your family history? Will you find out where you come from? It was a strange request, but could not refuse her, not when she looked at him with such hope in her eyes. I will, Your Majesty, I promise. Smiled. It was the first time he had seen her smile. It transformed her whole face. She looked younger, lighter, almost happy. Thank you. You cannot know how much that means to me. The days continued, stayed by the queen's side. He learned her habits. He learned her moods. He learned the rhythm of her days. She liked to wake early before the purple sun rose. She would stand on her balcony and watch the stars fade away. Sometimes she would whisper words in an ancient language. Did not understand the words, but he felt their meaning. They were prayers, or perhaps memories. She ate very little. Food seemed unimportant to her. She only ate enough to stay alive. She read constantly. Old books, ancient records, stories from long ago. She was searching for something, did not know what. And she watched him, always watched him. Sometimes, when did something small, like brush his hair from his eyes or tap his fingers when he was thinking, would catch her breath. Her eyes would fill with tears. She would look away quickly, pretending nothing had happened. But noticed, he always noticed. One night he found her crying. It was late, the palace was quiet, was standing guard outside her chambers when he heard the sound. Soft sobs, quiet weeping. He should not have entered, it was not his place, but something pulled him forward, something he could not explain. He opened the door slowly. Was sitting by the window. Silver tears ran down her glowing cheeks. In her hands she held a small object. It looked like a crystal, but light moved inside it. She looked up when he entered. She did not seem angry, only tired, so very tired. I am sorry, said quickly. I heard you crying. I wanted to make sure you were safe. Wiped her tears with the back of her hand. I am safe, she said. I am always safe. That is the curse of being a queen. Did not understand. Being safe is a curse. Held up the crystal in her hands. This is a memory stone. It holds a moment of time, a perfect moment that never fades. She turned it in her fingers. The light inside shifted and changed. This stone holds the last night I spent with one, our last conversation, our last goodbye. Felt his throat tighten. I have watched this memory 1,000 times, continued. I know every word, every look, every breath. She closed her eyes. Sometimes I watch it just to see his face move, just to hear his voice speak. Your Majesty, did not know what to say. I have lived for 800 years, said. I have ruled an empire, I have won wars. I have done everything a queen should do, but I have never forgotten him. I have never stopped loving him, and I have never stopped wondering. Wondering what? Looked at him. Her silver eyes were deep and sad. If he is still out there somewhere, if some part of him lives on. She stood up slowly. She walked toward him. When I first saw you in the throne room, my heart stopped. For one moment, I thought the universe had given him back to me. She reached out and touched his cheek. Her hand was cool like water. I know you are not him, she whispered. I know that, but there is something of him in you. I can feel it. I can see it. Stood very still. He could feel the weight of 300 years of love and loss pressing down on him. It was heavy, but it was also beautiful. I do not know how to help you, Your Majesty, he said honestly. I do not know who I am or where I come from, but I know one thing. What is that? Looked into her eyes, brown meeting silver, human meeting alien, present meeting past. If I am connected to him in any way, I am honored, because anyone who could earn your love must have been a great man. His eyes filled with fresh tears, but this time she was smiling. He was, she said. He was the greatest man I ever knew. She stepped back and wiped her eyes. Go rest now. Tomorrow we will search for answers together. Bowed and left the room, but as he walked back to his post, he felt something new growing inside him, a curiosity, a need to know. Who was one, and what was his connection to a simple guard from Earth? The answers were waiting, he could feel it. And he would find them. The search began the next morning. Queen had access to records that no one else could see, ancient archives from across the galaxy, records of every ship that had ever flown, names of every explorer, soldier, and traveler who had ventured into space. She used all of it to help find his past. They worked together in a quiet room in the deepest part of the palace. Screens of light floated in the air, showing information from 100 different sources. Scribes helped translate old documents. Human computers sent data from Earth. Had never cared about his family history before. He had always looked forward, never back. But now, for the first time, he needed to know where he came from. The first clue came from Earth's military records. His father had also been a soldier. His grandfather, too. Going back 5 generations, every man in his family had served in the military. It was in their blood. But beyond that, the records became unclear. Earth's history was messy. Wars and disasters had destroyed many old documents. Finding information from 300 years ago was almost impossible. Almost. Queen sent requests to every archive she knew. She called in favors from scholars and historians across the empire. She spent her own treasury to fund the search. Some of her advisors questioned her. Why was the Queen spending so much time and money on one human guard? It did not make sense. But did not explain. She simply continued the search. On the 10th day, they found something. A scholar named had been studying old Earth records for many years. He had found a document that mentioned the name One. It was a military report from the time of the Shadow War. Look at this, said, pulling up the record on a floating screen, and leaned forward together. The document was old and damaged. Parts of it were missing, but the important words were clear. Captain One, commander of the Earth Explorer Corps, died in battle at Planet Hope. He was 32 years old. He had no wife, no children. His face fell. No children, she whispered. Then how? But held up one finger. Please wait, Your Majesty, there is more. He pulled up another document. This one was even older. It was a personal letter written by One himself before his final battle. Felt his heart beating faster as he read the words. To my brother One, the letter began. If you are reading this, then I am gone. I am sorry I could not come home. I am sorry I could not see you again. Please forgive me. The letter continued. I have never told you about my time with the princess. I was afraid you would think I was foolish. Perhaps I was, but I loved her, brother. I loved her more than I can say, and I carry that love with me now, even as I go to my death. His hands were shaking. She had never seen this letter before. She had never known that One had a brother. There is more, said gently. He scrolled down to the end of the letter. Take care of our family, One. have children, raise them to be good and kind. And if any of them ever have my face, tell them about me. Tell them that their uncle was a fool who fell in love with a star." The room was silent. Stared at the words. He read them again and again. His uncle. One was his uncle, many times removed across 300 years, but his uncle nonetheless. "I am his descendant," said slowly. "Not his son, but his brother's descendant." Nodded. "It appears so. The family records from Earth show that one did have children, many children, and those children had children. The line continues all the way to your father." Turn 2. Her silver eyes were wide with wonder. "You carry his blood, his family, his face." Her voice trembled. "The universe brought you to me. After 300 years it brought you to me." Did not know what to feel. Pride, shock, fear. Everything mixed together inside him like a storm. "I did not know," he said. "I never knew I had such an ancestor." Reached out and took his hands in hers. "It does not matter that you did not know. What matters is that you are here. What matters is that you are real." She squeezed his hands tightly. "Do you understand what this means? One asked his brother to have children. He asked his brother to continue the family, because he knew, somehow he knew." Knew what? "That one day, one of his descendants would find me." Felt tears forming in his eyes. He was not a crying man. He had not cried since he was a child. But the weight of this moment was too much. He was connected to a hero. A man who had saved a princess and died protecting children. A man who had loved across species and across stars. A man who had kept his promise even in death. "I do not deserve this," said quietly. "I am not like him. I have never done anything great. I am just a guard." Shook her head firmly. "He said the same thing. He always said he was nobody special. He was wrong, and so are you." She let go of his hands and stepped back. "You carry more than his face, you carry his spirit. I have seen it in the way you stand, in the way you watch over others, in the way you speak with kindness and act with honor. You are his blood, and his blood runs true." Looked down at his hands, simple hands, workers' hands, soldiers' hands. But now he saw them differently. These were the hands of a hero's descendant. These were the hands of a promise kept. "What happens now?" he asked. Walked to the window and looked out at the purple sky. "That depends on you," she said. "Your mission here is almost over. The negotiations are finishing. Soon you will return to Earth with your ambassador." Felt something twist in his chest. The thought of leaving felt wrong. He had only known the Queen for a few weeks, but already he could not imagine being away from her. "And if I do not want to leave?" he asked softly. Turned around slowly. Hope and fear battled in her silver eyes. "Do not say things you do not mean," she warned. "I cannot bear to lose him twice." Walked toward her. He moved slowly, giving her time to stop him if she wanted, but she did not stop him. She stood perfectly still as he approached. "I am not one," he said. "I can never be him. I did not know him. I do not have his memories. I am my own person." Nodded sadly. "I know." But continued, "I carry his blood. I carry his promise. And now that I know the truth, I cannot walk away. I cannot leave you alone with 300 years of sorrow." He reached out and took her hand again. "Let me stay, not as a replacement for him, never as a replacement, but as someone new, someone who can make new memories, someone who can keep you company for whatever time I have." His eyes filled with tears. Silver drops rolled down her glowing cheeks. "You would do that," she whispered. "You would give up your world, your people, your life." Smiled gently. "My ancestor gave up his life for 12,000 children he never met. The least I can do is give up my old life for someone who has already lost too much." Let out a sob. It was not a sad sound. It was a release. 300 years of holding on, finally letting go. She pulled into her arms and held him tightly. She was taller than him, so his head rested against her shoulder, but it felt right. It felt like coming home. "He promised he would find me," said through her tears. "I waited 300 years for that promise, and now here you are, different but the same, new but familiar." She pulled back and looked at his face. She studied every detail, every line, every shadow. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being born. Thank you for finding your way here. Thank you for being his blood." Wiped the tears from her cheeks. "Thank you for waiting," he said. "Thank you for keeping his memory alive. Thank you for loving him enough to see me." They stood together by the window as the purple sun began to set. Two people from different worlds. Two hearts connected across 300 years. The truth had been found. Now it was time to build something new. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. A human guard had been chosen by Queen to stay at her side, not as a servant, not as a diplomat, but as her protector and companion. The descendant of a hero from Earth had returned to the after 300 years. Some people were shocked. How could the great Queen lower herself to keep company with a human? Humans were young in the galaxy. They were weak. They were temporary. But those who knew the story felt differently. They remembered the Shadow War. They remembered Captain One and his sacrifice. They remembered the 12,000 children he had saved on Planet Hope. And they understood. Love does not care about species or time. Love finds a way, always. The day came when had to make his choice official. The ambassador and the other human guards were returning to Earth. The diplomatic mission was over, could leave with them if he wanted. He stood at the landing pad where the human ship waited. His old life was right there. His friends, his duty, his home. The ambassador approached him one last time. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "You could have a good career in the military. You could become a captain someday, maybe even a commander." Smiled and shook his head. "I was never going to be a captain. I was never going to be anything special. I was just going to be another soldier who followed orders until I was too old to fight." He looked back at the palace, shining like a crystal mountain against the purple sky. "But here I can be something more. I can be a bridge between humans and I can continue what my ancestors started. I can prove that humans are worthy of trust and love." The ambassador sighed but nodded. "I understand. I do not agree, but I understand." He held out his hand. "Good luck, make us proud." Shook his hand firmly. "I will try." He watched the ship lift off and disappear into the sky. He felt a moment of sadness. He would probably never see Earth again, never feel its rain on his face, never smell its air, never walk its soil. But he had made his choice, and he would not take it back. He turned and walked toward the palace. Queen was waiting for him in the throne room, but she was not sitting on her throne today. She was standing at the bottom of the stairs like a normal person, like an equal. The room was full of nobles and officials. They had come to witness this historic moment, a human becoming part of the Queen's court. It had never happened before. Walked through the crowd. He kept his head high. He did not look at the curious faces watching him. He only looked at. She was beautiful as always, but today she was wearing something different. Instead of her dress of light, she wore a simple gown of dark blue, and around her neck she wore a small crystal on a chain. The memory stone, the one that held her last moment with One, stopped in front of her and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty," smiled and gestured for him to rise. "Today is not a day for bowing," she said. Her voice carried across the silent room. "Today is a day for standing tall." She turned to address the crowd. 300 years ago, a human saved my life. He taught me that courage has no species, that love has no borders, that heroes can come from anywhere. She paused and looked at. His name was One. He died fighting the shadows. He died so that others could live, and I have carried his memory in my heart ever since. The nobles murmured quietly. Some knew this story. Others were hearing it for the first time. Now, continued, the universe has given me a gift. A descendant of that hero has come to my world. He carries the blood of the man I loved. He carries his face, his spirit, his promise. She reached out and took his hand. He let her lift his arm high so everyone could see. He was a guard, a simple soldier, but from this day forward he will be something more. He will be the voice of humanity in my court. He will be a symbol of the bond between our peoples. He will be my friend and my protector. The crowd was silent for a long moment. Then slowly they began to bow, one by one, row by row, all the nobles of the empire bowing to a human. Felt his heart swell with emotion. He was not worthy of this honor. He knew that. But he would work every day to become worthy. He would earn their respect. He would prove that humans belonged among the stars. After the ceremony took him to a quiet garden, the same garden where they had walked together before. The singing flowers, the color-changing trees, the river flowing up to the sky. They sat together on a bench made of crystal. "Are you afraid?" asked softly. "Yes," admitted. "I am afraid every moment. I am afraid of failing, of not being enough, of disappointing you." Nodded, she understood. "One was afraid too," she said. "He told me once that he was always afraid, but he never let his fear stop him. He said that courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what must be done despite the fear." Looked at her. "I will try to live up to his example. I will try to be brave. I will try to make him proud." Leaned against him gently. Her head rested on his shoulder. They sat in silence for a long time, watching the evening light paint the garden in shades of purple and gold. "Can I tell you something?" finally said. "Anything." "For 300 years I felt alone. Even surrounded by millions of people, I felt alone. The only person who truly knew me, the only person who saw past the crown and the power was gone. I had no one to talk to, no one to hold, no one to trust." She took a deep breath. "But now I feel like I am waking up from a long sleep, like the ice around my heart is finally melting, because of you." Put his arm around her shoulders. "I am not him," he reminded her gently. "I can never be him." "I know," said, "and I do not want you to be. I want you to be you. I want to learn who you are. I want to make new memories, not replace the old ones but add to them." She lifted her head and looked into his eyes. "Was you let me do that? Was you let me know you, the real you?" Smiled. "Yes, I would like that." They talked late into the night, told her about his childhood on Earth, about the small village where he grew up, about his mother who made the best soup in the world, about his father who taught him to fight with honor. Told him about her years as queen, about the difficult choices she had made, about the enemies she had defeated and the friends she had lost, about the weight of ruling an empire alone. They laughed together, they cried together, they shared secrets they had never told anyone else. And slowly, carefully, they began to build something new. Not a replacement for what was lost, never that, but a new beginning, a new chapter, a new story. Months passed, then years, became a trusted advisor in the court. He helped build stronger ties between humans and he traveled to other worlds and spoke about peace and friendship. He became known as the bridge builder. And he stayed by side through it all. He grew older, of course. Humans did not live as long as but had expected that. She had chosen to love someone temporary once before. She would do it again. "I would rather have 50 years with you," she told him once, "than an eternity alone." Held her close. "I would rather have one day with you than a lifetime with anyone else." And so they lived, day by day, year by year, building something beautiful out of love and loss and hope. One's promise had been kept, across 300 years, across the vast empty spaces between stars. His blood had found its way back to. Humans, it seemed, never truly let go of those they loved. Not even death could stop them. Not even time. not even the endless dark between the stars. Because humans made promises, and humans kept them. Always. Even when the universe said it was impossible. Especially then.